is actually a series of celebrities, and I'll just go ahead and tell you who the celebrities are, and then we'll go ahead and talk about the fragrance. So, Harry Styles, Daniel Craig, Lenny Kravitz, and Vanessa Hudgens. These four celebrities. I wish I had a cooler review, but I only had the decan. Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. Now, this is one of my absolute favorites of all time. I'm not a huge Tom Ford guy, but this I make an exception for. Oh my gosh, one of the greatest fragrances I think ever made. Also, one of the most polarizing fragrances. People either love or they hate the tobacco notes, and while this is definitely a little bit sweeter, the extreme tobacco fragrances being something like Red Tobacco by Mancera, where you really get it head on right in the face. This is sweet. It has tonka beans, which cuts it in with a little bit of rubberiness, professionalism, smoothness. That's hard to describe tonka bean. Then you also have some dried fruits in the bottom that give it a little bit more sweetness, but suffice it to say, if you go and you look at most despised fragrances, you're going to find Tobacco Vanille in there, just because a lot of people don't love vanilla fragrances, especially in the hotter months, and a lot of people do not like tobacco fragrances at all, and so what you have is kind of a beautiful mixing, if you will. But Harry Styles, Daniel Craig, Lenny Kravitz, and Vanessa Hudgens, because it is unisex. There are some alternatives out there, a little bit more sweet and a little bit more feminine, but the funny thing is, both of these occasions, actually, there's some funny stories. Daniel Craig is obsessed with Tom Ford. I don't know why, to almost an unhealthy level. He wears all of his clothes. He bathes in his fragrances. It wouldn't surprise me if he had a picture of him that he kissed every night before he went to bed. And of course, Daniel Craig being James Bond, the blue-eyed James Bond. Harry Styles being One Direction, Lenny Kravitz, musician. Vanessa Hudgens, kind of a jack of many trades. But Daniel Craig, apparently, while filming one of the James Bond movies, was asked to stop wearing this fragrance because apparently he just straight up doused himself. He just doused himself in this every single day, and people asked him to stop. They said, "Can you please stop bathing in this?" And another funny thing is another funny story. They went up to Tom Ford one time in an interview, and the interviewer actually told him that he smelled like Harry Styles. It's Tom Ford's own fragrance, and the interview told him that he smelled like Harry Styles. It's funny, but that also, I think, highlights why people don't like Tobacco Vanille. It's not that they don't like it as much as people who wear it overspray it, and they overspray it a lot. But this is a $300 fragrance, $200 to $300 fragrance, depending on what it is. So I'm going to give you some alternatives. The first alternative is my absolute favorite, and it's called Tobacco Touch. Maison Alhambra makes phenomenal Tom Ford clones. This is my favorite. It's not a carbon copy of Tobacco Vanille. It doesn't try to be. This is sweeter and more vanilla. It projects like crazy and lasts forever. I love Tobacco Touch. The second one is from a company called Alt. They actually do make carbon copies, one-to-one replicas. This is Nicotiana, and Nicotiana is as close to Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille as you can possibly get. So, as you can see, I got the big boy, and I'm ready for anything. Now, as far as their personalities fitting this, that I think that fits it well. Tobacco Vanille is one of those smooth, suave, sophisticated kind of fragrances. It's masculine and feminine. It's a little complex, but it's very bougie, and I think it fits him pretty well. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, the next celebrity we're going to talk about is everyone's favorite pirate, Johnny Depp. It might surprise you to know that the desert-dwelling wolf musician Sauvage Elixir stuff. Doesn't actually wear it. I mean, I'm sure he does now, but for the longest time, he wore one particular fragrance, and that fragrance was Zino by Davidoff. Davidoff. I've heard it both ways. Now, in a interview, he actually said he would bathe in this if he could figure out how to get it by the gallon. Zino by Davidoff. Before the cool waters and everything, this was actually the flagship fragrance of Davidoff. The designer, his first name was Zino. So, I mean, this was like the pinnacle. This was supposed to be the big fragrance. And this fragrance right here smells old. It smells a little dated, like the 90s, but an absolute classic. And honestly, I dare you to wear this and not get compliments. Every time I wear this, I get compliments. What is it? It's rich. It's complex. It's patchouli. It's aromatics. It's spicy. It has underlying vanilla in it. I like to say there's a certain type of fragrance out there called mystery, and mystery is one of those things that it's a whole lot of things. You don't know quite what you're smelling, but it develops, and as it goes, it just develops into something totally different, something you've never smelled before. And that's Zino by Davidoff. Absolutely fits Johnny Depp, more so than the toilet water that is Sauvage Elixir, in my opinion. I don't like Sauvage Elixir, but this stuff is phenomenal. This fits Johnny Depp much more. It's complicated. It's a very complicated fragrance, and this is also one of those you could pick up for like $30-$40. So there's no reason to not pick this guy up, and I love it. Alright, next we have James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano himself. Big boy, larger than life, rest in peace. Supposedly was a baller. Supposedly was a great dude. What did he wear? Well, this is one of those up in the air, but I heard someone tell me a story about this, and they said that he was rocking Obsession for Men. Now, Obsession for Men has been called something like equal to cat urine. Absolutely disgusting. Not worthy of redemption. But it is very much an 80s fragrance. It has lots of notes, like 80s and 90s fragrances. Lots of floral notes, lots of woodsiness, lots of sweetness, lots of rainforest notes, I guess you could say. And because of that and all the mixture together, people think it smells a little acidic, which it is, which they equate to urine, but it's bold, it's brash, it's in your face, and you know what? It stood the test of time. I think it's been out for 40 years, and it's still on the Ulta shelf. So James Gandolfini, though, apparently used to wear so much of this that they also had to ask him to tone it down. Apparently he could drop carrier pigeons up above him because they were knocked out from the stench of his fragrance. So a fun story. Next we move on to a great English actor, Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant, known for it's a Bridget Jones's Diary, and apparently he was in the new Willy Wonka movie. I didn't see it, but apparently he was the Oompa Loompa. At least that's what he was billed at. What does Hugh Grant wear? Well, he also rocks an older fragrance, and it's L'Eau d'Issei by Issei Miyake. So L'Eau d'Issei, Issei Miyake. This is an older fragrance that was very, very popular when it first came out. And when it came out, it was, I think, 80s. Again, it's the same thing. Aromatics, a little bit of spiciness, but just super, 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 super floral. It's bitter, it develops, it's complex. I guess it could kind of fit Hugh Grant. I don't know what someone that would wear L'Eau d'Issei would smell like. But it's really interesting that these celebrities, they pick up on these fragrances that, like Hugh Grant probably started wearing this in the 90s and supposedly still wears it to this day. So this is not a cheap fragrance, but it's also not super, super expensive as well. It's something that's a little bit dated. And I don't know it's a classic. That's why I have it in my collection, and maybe I'll give it a chance one of these days. Alright, the next one is another two-part, or two-piece, two-actor, two-whatever. Jack Nicholson, The Shining, right? Here's Johnny. Probably one of the greatest actors, American actors. Been in a billion movies. The one that I always remember him in for some reason is The Bucket List with Morgan Freeman. Have you ever seen that? So it's really interesting. And then second, Jay Leno. So everyone's favorite talk show host, I guess you could say. And they both rock this one baller fragrance. And it was actually the very first fragrance that I ever smelled, and probably the thing that got me into fragrances. Any guesses? No. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the quintessential 90s soapy fragrance. You got the freshness, the bergamot, you got the woodsiness. It smells like a body wash on steroids, but it also has some complexity and some wood notes that, you look up and you go, well, maybe that's not body wash, maybe that is an actual fragrance. Now this guy is still like $20, 3.4 ounces, so again, these celebrities not necessarily wearing $5,000 fragrances like the NBA stars and all of these I guess snobs do these days. They show up at the normal places just like everybody else does. So Michael Jordan absolutely, I think, fits Jack Nicholson and Jay Leno. I think they both sort of market themselves as just regular dudes. And this is the regular dude fragrance, Michael Jordan. This is regular Michael Jordan for men. There's a couple different ones. Make sure you get this one. Next celebrity to talk about is Jared Leto. Jared Leto is that freaky guy that you always see at all the UFC fights, covered in various scarves. He recently played in, was that one movie with Denzel? That was it was okay. Played Joker in live action. I believe it was Suicide Squad, and he's okay. Singer, I think singer, right? 30 Seconds to Mars. Anyways, he's proud of this one. He talks about it all the time. Maybe not all the time, but he talked about it on Twitter and gives a shout outs and whatnot. Again, a very affordable fragrance, and he rocks none other than CK1, Calvin Klein CK1. One of probably my favorite fragrances as well. I was also told it made some of the best tapping noises. Is that true? You think so? So, CK1. I love the CK1 products. I just tried the CK1B big black bottle for like $20, 6 ounces. Super cheap. CK1 is summer, it's fresh. It's your spring, sort of aquatic. Not, is it aquatic? It's a little aquatic, your springtime fragrance with some sweet notes. Yeah, I could see that. Now, Jared Leto, he's a little bit more of a complicated individual, especially, well, the way that he dresses. I would think he'd be a little bit of a complicated individual. CK1 is fresh. CK1 is there. It's available. It's cheap. So I don't know. Maybe this is more of Jared Leto than how he actually showcases himself. But I would expect the two actually to be reversed. I would expect like Hugh Grant to have CK1 and Jared Leto to have like L'Odyssée by Issey Miyake, because it's more of a complex. But I love the fact he likes it. I love CK1. You can pick up a bottle just like this for like $20, and I highly recommend it. CK1 is incredible. Our next fragrance needs no introduction, but let me introduce our celebrity. Our celebrity is none other than Jeremy Renner, who plays Hawkeye on all the Avengers movies and a lot of other stuff as well. He's a very talented actor. Currently recovering from a crazy snowplow thing that got him, but this is not breathtaking. This is nothing super crazy. It's Bleu de Chanel. I don't know why they did like a special where they asked all of the Marvel people, like, what's your favorite fragrance? And he said Bleu de Chanel. So, Bleu de Chanel is probably one of the greatest fragrance profiles ever made. It opens right up the top with some sweetness, some pink pepper, some fruitiness, and as it develops, it becomes more complex, more woodsiness sneaking in there. Now, this is the eau de parfum, but it's still on my list of fragrances not to buy. And the reason for that is the projection, and the amount of time that it lasts. It's not there. It's not present. This does not project. This does not last. And for that, I don't tell people to buy it. There's so many other great, pink pepper, fruity fragrances. I would just avoid Bleu de Chanel, honestly, but it's a great fragrance profile that I can't believe they really messed up. Does it fit him? Sure, why not? Why not? I mean, I would go with something a little bit different. Something that may be projected and lasts a little bit longer, but Bleu de Chanel, it's not worth $150, but it is a very good fragrance. While we're on the subject, I don't have it in front of me, but thought it was interesting when I was looking at that same article. Tom Holland, who is, I guess, everyone's favorite Spider-Man now, he rocks Curve. That's right, Curve. Liz Claiborne, Curve. Green Curve for men that you used to be able to get in Walmart for like $10. Now it's a little bit more expensive, probably because Tom Holland's out there advertising, but it's a little spicy, aromatic, masculine, woodsy, a little sweet, upfront, playful, very youthful fragrance. And so, if you want to be like your favorite Spider-Man, pick you up some Curve by Liz Claiborne. This one I just wanted to include because I guess, I don't know. Javi Hernandez, when I was younger, I mean, way long ago, I was a big soccer fan, football fan, and FC Barcelona was probably my team. Now, bear in mind, that was before I grew up and found out what the Premier League was, and so then I transitioned full circle to the Premier League. But before then, just growing up, Ronaldinho, Carles Puyol, that was even back in the day of Deco, and man, those were good days. Obviously, Messi was there. Messi hasn't been gone for that long. I guess he has, but anyways, Javi Hernandez wears Clinique Happy for Men, and this is a fragrance that I found out about not long ago, but it has been out for some time. It is a super tangerine citrus bomb, all in your face. It doesn't really develop a whole lot, but it's just super playful, super fun. Like I said, tangerine, citrus. Honestly, it's not a bad fragrance, and I think it, on sale right now. I've seen it promoted a lot for like $20 for this thing, and I think a fragrance says a lot about someone, and that just conveys youthfulness, happiness, joy, excitement, energy. So, never met the man, obviously, but as a former